Okay, well, now that the dust has settled this morning, at least from the latest read on inflation, where does that leave the Bank of Canada on its anticipated move on the central and key overnight lending rate? Joining us live this morning now is Janine Ewell, a licensed mortgage agent and North Power Mortgages. Janine, good to talk to you this morning. I mean, we talk about the central bank rate so much on this program because it really is the focus of a lot of conversations, particularly in your business here. Definitely. June 5th is sort of a coin toss. Maybe July is when we might see the rate cut. I wonder what your sense is about the appetite for home buyers when and if a cut comes.
So I think there are a lot of people waiting on the sidelines. You know, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. I've spoken to dozens of home buyers in the last couple of months, where they're just waiting. They're chomping at the bit. They want to get into the housing market, but they're waiting to see what the Bank of Canada does. And I think once they actually, it's almost a psychological thing. Once we actually get that first rate cut, I think there is going to be a lot of people that are going to jump back into the market just because they want to be there. They want to get into their first home or they want to move up, but interest rates have kept them from making that leap, I suppose.
That pent-up demand and that feeling like I want to get into the market, but you want to see the rates coming down first. It's understandable, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think it's, over the last 20, 30 years here in southwestern Ontario, we've either been in one market or another. It feels like for the majority of the time, either prices have been rising and interest rates have been falling, or we've seen interest rates rising and prices have been falling. So I think there's a lot of people who want to get in before prices really start to climb again, but also need that lower interest rate to be able to feel like that they can make that move confidently.
And so, Janine, what about people already in the market? Because one of the other stories and elements to all this is the amount of renewals, of mortgage renewals coming in the next 12 to 24 months.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, for those individuals, the big thing is planning. I think you want to make sure that you know when your renewal is. I think we talked about this previously in one of our previous segments. If you know ahead of time, you know, you hop on your online banking or you hop into the portal that actually lets you know, you want to plan. You want to be looking about 6 months out at minimum. I would argue even sometimes sooner, but really also getting a second opinion as well. Most lenders are fairly competitive at renewal, and if you actually are, you know, not looking to do anything different with your mortgage, you're not looking to increase the amortization, or you're not looking to refinance existing debts, a lot of times it does make sense to consider seriously staying with your existing lender as long as what they're offering is competitive. But the only way to know if what you're being offered is competitive is to get a second opinion, right? So speaking with someone who's, you know, licensed, who is actually accredited and knows what they're talking about, can provide another good option, or at least give you feedback on what you're receiving, is really critical.
I get the feeling that in some cases people feel pressure to do more or switch things up a little more, and there are some cautionary tales here, aren't there?
Absolutely. I think sometimes we have some notion, and, you know, I think sometimes clients will they haven't had maybe the best experience over the last couple of years during the pandemic. If you called into many of the major banks, it was really challenging to get a hold of someone. Sometimes you really faced lengthy wait times, and so it leaves people with a negative taste in their mouth. And so they think, oh, well, I'm super frustrated with Bank XYZ. I just want to go somewhere else. And sometimes there's a very real reason to do that, but sometimes, you know, taking the emotion out of it and just recognizing that maybe it doesn't make sense to go through the whole process all over again and just work with what you already have is a really reasonable option. Other times you actually want, you know, it makes sense to consider something else.
All right, Janine Ewell, licensed mortgage broker. Appreciate talking to you this morning. As always, we'll see what happens June 5th or maybe sometime in July. Good to talk to you again. Appreciate this morning.
Thanks,
All right, take care.